Hello, it's me. In this video, we'll explore how, right now, you are creating a meaningful spiritual ripple in consciousness, one that will ring like a bell and resonate long after you're gone. You'll learn why this matters more than ever, and by the end, you will awaken to some very practical, spiritual ways to live with intention and purpose and see how you can leave behind an ever-growing positivity that nurtures others long after you're gone. Here's what I mean. Did you know that, intentionally or not, you are leaving in your wake a powerfully influential spiritual legacy, an imprint that is uniquely yours and that really does make a difference from nothing more than your very existence here? Not in the sense of leaving behind a statue or a building or writing some great book, but in a much quieter, and I would argue equally meaningful way. I'm talking about the ripple effect you create every time you choose love over fear, compassion over reaction, unity over division. You don't need to be famous or perfect or any sort of spiritual expert. You just need to be awake to the power of your choices and how deeply connected we all are. That's how spiritual legacy is born. Now, I'll be honest, living a spiritual life can feel overwhelming sometimes, even if you've been at it for quite a while. We're all constantly growing. It's not always easy, but it doesn't have to be complicated either. You can save yourself a lot of unnecessary pain and suffering if you're willing to learn from a few simple spiritual pointers, ones that I've picked up along my own spiritual path, and that maybe you'll take some benefit from, something you've been called to take a look at right now in this video. As someone who spent years learning, teaching, and walking a spiritual path, I can tell you the truths that matter most aren't flashy. They're steady, they're timeless, and they work. Let me share a quick story. There was a monk walking through a dark forest at night. He was carrying a small lantern, just bright enough to see a few steps ahead. Well, this young man comes running up, charging through the dark. He's laughing and yelling. No light, no awareness. He bumps into this monk and shouted, "Why so slow, old man?" And the monk just smiled. He lifted his light. He said, "I just think it's better to see where I'm going," he said. Now, not even a minute later, this young man, he tripped over a tree root that he couldn't see, and he went tumbling down into this muddy ditch. He wasn't seriously injured or anything, but he was making quite a pitiful noise, moaning. So the monk, still holding his light, carefully climbed down to help him. He wasn't angry. He didn't say, "I told you so," or deliver any judgment. He simply helped. That's compassion. True compassion is always its own reward. But anyway, the two of them made their way back up along the path and on the rest of the way together, very slowly and with a lot of awareness this time. And you can bet that that young man, he never walked through that dark forest again without a light. In some way, we've all been that young man, running blindly through life, crashing into things we didn't see coming. But if we're lucky, we meet somebody. We meet a monk, someone carrying a light, and we learn something from them. And soon, we become the one holding the light for someone else. Now, that's the beauty of the spiritual path. It starts with your own awakening and then that quietly spreads. You begin to live with more care. You stop reacting from habit. You notice more and judge less. You love more. You realize that that was once you at the bottom of that muddy ravine. You see that we are all the same, really. We're not as separate as we seem to be. We're part of something bigger. And we're all in it together. In spiritual terms, we call that oneness. And your presence, your awareness, begins to shift things in your life. Not necessarily in huge, dramatic ways, but in small, sacred moments. Here's an example. You're walking across a parking lot on your way into a store, and you see a candy wrapper discarded on the ground. No one's watching, but you stop, you pick it up, and toss it in the trash bin on your way into the store. That's it. Simple, right? But maybe a child saw you. And maybe without even realizing it, that moment plants a little seed inside of him. He starts picking up trash too. He starts caring in ways that ripple through his whole life from now on. He has changed. But you don't know that has happened to him. You've just gone about your business. You'll never know the full impact of that tiny act. But it matters. That's legacy. And here's the amazing part. The wrapper itself that you picked up could one day, and probably one day, will be totally forgotten. But the consciousness behind the act, your awareness, your choice, never disappears. It becomes part of something far greater than we can see. Because you and I, at our core, we're not just bodies. We're not even our thoughts, our feelings, or even our memories. We're conscious beings of pure spirit. We are eternal. Our material presence is just borrowed for a time. Everything material in our lives, our homes, our memories, even our planet, someday that'll all pass into dust. But the love that you share, the compassion you express, the unity you choose, that lives on. And that's your spiritual legacy. It's far more powerful than we give it credit for. See, you don't have to change the whole world. Just choose love in one moment, then another, and then another. That's how the world changes, because each demonstration of love begets another, which begets another, and on and on. So today, right now, just keep showing up as who you truly are, a spiritual being. Not just someone looking for peace, but someone who radiates peace. Someone who walks through the world like that monk, carrying a light that helps others just see a little more clearly. And remember, it doesn't take much. A kind word, a thoughtful pause, a deeper breath, a simple act of care. That's how you live your truth. That's how you create a spiritual legacy. And the beautiful thing is, you've already started, or you wouldn't be listening to this video with me right now. You're already making self-replicating ripples of consciousness. Why not just be more aware, more intentional about it? Why not just make better and better spiritual choices? Why not just be more awake? So if you'd like more guidance and more light along your spiritual path, feel free to sign up for our free daily spiritual pointers. the links in the description below. And if this message touched your heart, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might be glad you did. Create a ripple. You may never know how far your light reaches, but I promise it reaches. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of this sacred unfolding. You are loved, you are seen, you are appreciated, and you are already enough. And I'll see you again next time.